And we're back. This is Wild 1, and we're going to continue where we left off in setting up this game, and a little bit of a tutorial, and we'll go through a few turns. So the last thing we need to do before we actually start the game is populate the HQ with character cards that we can purchase with recruitment points. You'll put 5 cards out here face up. It just so happens that the HQ will snugly fit 5 cards. I don't know why they didn't divide this into sections. It seemed appropriate for there to be, like little vertical dividers here, kind of like they did here with the complex. It's clear that you place 5 cards here. It's also clear that, or it's not quite as clear down here in the HQ that 5 cards are to be out here at all times, unless there is a game mechanic or a particular special effect or event that prevents that from happening. So we have 5 cards here in the HQ. The HQ is basically the store where you go shopping for character cards using your recruitment points as currency. And we have a card here that's worth 4. This is Parker's Find It and Kill It card. Here is First Aid. It's the Ripley card, worth 3. This one here is an interesting one. This is Parker's unique card. Remember in the last video I showed you Ripley's unique card. This one is Parker's unique card called It's a Damn Robot. I believe there was another word in there as part of that swear word. Here's Captain Dallas, captain of the ship, and then here's a Lambert card, review the nav data. Now, some of these cards have a keyword. Let's see if we can get in real close here and show you the keyword coordinate. You can see it right here. That keyword means that you are able to play this card during another player's turn, and we'll see an example of that later. I'm sure it will come into effect as we play through the game. So with the HQ full, and we're ready to start, there is a series of phases in each turn, and we're going to start here with the scout for the first turn. So we had the scout's deck, his hand that was drawn in the previous video. And as I mentioned, both of the hands that I drew included the roll cards for their respective avatars. So for the opening hand for the scout, he drew the reconnaissance card here. And it says down here to draw a card. Now, it's a statement, draw a card. You must, if you're going to play this, you must draw a card. Which means that the secondary effect here, you cannot take advantage of that unless you do what the first statement said. And the second statement says may, which means you have the option to scan a room. Scanning a room means spending the necessary attack points to flip a face-down card in this complex, face up, and reveal it. So the first phase of the turn is the hive phase. And this is where we take the top card from the hive deck, remove it, and keep it face down, and place it here in the ventilation shafts. If we're instructed to place a hive card here, and there's a card in the ventilation shafts, then the card that's in the ventilation shafts needs to be pushed out so that this area is clear for the next hive card. So that's the first phase. The second phase is the action phase. In the action phase, that's where you play the cards that are in your hand. By playing your cards, what you're really doing is primarily, with the exception of cards like the roll card, you're creating 2 pools of currency. So we have, for the scout, we had 4 cards, 4 recruitment points here, and 1 attack point. So these cards are in play. We now have a pool of 4 recruitment points for making purchases, and we have 1 attack point for combating enemies or scanning rooms. And then we have the Scout's reconnaissance card, which tells him to draw a card. So we're going to put this in play. It's in play, we draw a card from our draw deck, and lo and behold, it's another specialist. So now we have 5 recruitment points. So what you're trying to do is, it's a deck building game, so you're trying to build a better deck than what you started with. What you start with is a bunch of weak cards. You want to have recruitment cards where each card is at least 2 or more recruitment points, and attack cards where each attack card is worth 2 or more attack points. And we have a bit of a selection here. We have a card here that costs 4 that gives 2 attack points. We have a card here that costs 3 that gives 2 recruitment points. Again, here's the big one that's 7 that provides 4 attack points. With a special condition, there's an asterisk there. We have a card here that's worth 4 recruitment points that provides 2 with an optional additional 2 attack points. And the means of gaining those additional 2 attack points are basically related to the icon here that's on the card, and I'll talk about that when we get over to the synthetic, because the synthetic's roll card is rather unique. We can actually go through and talk about what these different icons mean. And then we have another card over here that costs 6 that gives 3 attack. We can consider buying perhaps a card worth 4 and then just get rid of the recruitment point that we're not going to be able to use. Basically whatever's unused in the pool goes away. Or we can take a risk here and we can buy maybe this card that costs 3 and hope that the next card in the barracks will cost 2 and we can purchase it as well. So what happens when you purchase a card from the HQ? The gap is immediately filled by another card. And then you can use any remaining points in your pool to purchase another card, even the card that you just drew out. So I'm going to play it safe. We're going to purchase, I believe we're going to take this Captain of the Ship card, Captain Dallas card. And when you purchase a card, you are gaining it and placing it into your discard pile. Anything that says to gain a card, you're putting it into your discard pile. It doesn't become part of your hand or it doesn't go into your play area. So we're going to put that over here. This is the Scout's discard pile over here. Actually, I'll flip it sideways, make it clearer. And that's pretty much it for the recruitment. We need to fill the space in the HQ that we just vacated. And well, look at that. I pulled one with 2. So we could have actually taken the risk and bought this one, and this would have been the next card to come out. I could have spent all 5 recruitment points efficiently. Unfortunately, I did not take that risk, but that's alright. And it's bound to happen. Alright, so for the Scout we drew a card. We have the other ability here, the ability to scan a room. We're going to take advantage of that. This is what makes the Scout special amongst the different avatars that you can play, is that he is what he says he is. He's a Scout, so he's going to do a little recon. And normally it would cost 4 attack points to scan this room. This is a great opportunity to take advantage of this ability because it's difficult to get 4 attack points in your hand this early in the game. So we're going to go ahead and scan this room and find out what's in here. So we flip the face up, and it's an egg. Let's get a good close look at the egg here. It says here that it doesn't move or strike. And there's a red word there, event. It's another keyword. What that means is that if we draw an event card, and you'll get to see one for certain, if we draw an event card, it triggers this particular effect. And you see the word facehugger there. Like I've said before, facehuggers are bad. You do not want one. but there's a bit of texture that says it doesn't move or strike. Well, what that means is that it remains in this location. I mentioned earlier that normally when you place another card into the complex from the hive deck, you need to push this card across so that this space is open. But you won't do that in this case. The card stays here. So the next card that comes off the hive is going to go here into the power station, and this egg stays put. The egg is an enemy, and you'll notice that there's a value in the lower right. This is the number of attack points that you need in your pool to be able to destroy this enemy. Alright, so there's really nothing else we can do with the scout. He's done. The third phase is the strike phase. If there were any cards in the combat zone that were enemies that could attack you, that's where this would happen. For each card in the combat zone, you would draw a strike card. You don't have to worry about that here. So the fourth phase is cleanup. Cleanup involves discarding your hand and all the cards in your play area that you've played, and then draw another hand of 6 cards. So we're going to place these in the discard pile. I happen to know there's only 6 cards left in the deck. We have 13 to start with. Since we drew the roll card that allowed us to draw a card, that brought us to 7, leaving 6 cards. So you can see here, here's the remaining cards that we knew were left behind. We have our 4 grunts for 4 attack and our 2 remaining specialists. So we'll put the card, the hand here above what would normally be the draw deck, but the draw deck is empty. Now we're going to move on to the synthetic over here. Again, the first step is the hive phase. We take the top card of the deck and place it into the complex, face down. The egg does not move. Let's look at the synthetic's hand now as we get into our action phase. As I had mentioned in the previous video, I pulled the roll cards for both of the avatars for their first hands. So let's set this card aside for a second. Let's just build our pools here so we have 4 recruitment points and 1 attack point. Not much to go on. However, like the scout, the synthetic allows us to draw a card. So we're going to draw 1 more card, and it's another grunt. So we have 2 attack points now. Still not enough to really do anything though. In order to scan this room, it takes 3, and in order to kill this egg, it costs 3. And we only have 2 attack. So there's not much we can do with the attack cards that we have. We do have our 4 recruitment points here in our pool, so we can look through the HQ and look for something to purchase. I think it's a good time here to pause and let's talk about these symbols that are on these cards. Notice that, let's grab one of the ones from the HQ. In the upper left corner there are, see if I can get that to focus a little bit there. There are 2 symbols in the upper left corner. That top symbol there, you should be able to recognize. That is the symbol of the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, the fictional company from the Alien movies. So that is the crew icon. So in this case, it's the Weyland-Yutani crew. The icon below that is the class icon. There are 5 classes represented by 5 different icons. Sorry, let's put that back in the HQ. What makes the synthetic so special is that he has all 5 of these icons in the upper left corner here. Those 5 icons are leadership, intel, strength, survival, and tech. What's special about these is that you need to play a card that has a particular icon in order to take advantage of an effect that's labeled by that icon on another card. So for example, the first aid card has this this special effect that says you may heal a strike from any player, and there's the survival symbol next to it. What that means is that before you play this card, you must have played a card that had the survival symbol in the upper left corner there. In the case of the synthetic, he gives you all 5. In this case, that's not going to be of any use to us though, since when we gain cards they go into our discard pile, we can't play them. So we have 4 recruitment points here and 2 to attack. So what can we do with 4 recruitment? We have a card here, the Find It and Kill It card, that costs 4 and gives 2 attack. And I mentioned Coordinate. We're going to purchase this card and we'll see what we get with Coordinate later when that pops up. I can explain at that time what Coordinate is really all about. So this is really all we can do. With the synthetic, we have the 2 attack, but we can't do anything. Also, we need to replace this card in the HQ. So that ends the synthetic's turn. Same as before, he discards his cards and draws 6. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and there's his hand. And we should know what's in here. So there's 3 attack points and 3 recruitment points. Put his hand here. Back to the scout. Hive phase. Alright, we're going to take the top card off the hive deck. We don't move the egg. We do slide the power station down, or slide the card that's in the power station down to the weapons locker. And then we can place the card here. And then we can look at the scout's hand. We've got 2 recruitment points and 4 attack. Good idea now, let's go ahead and kill that egg. We really don't want to see facehuggers. So let's get rid of this egg before something else happens that causes the egg to hatch and produce a facehugger. So I have a pool, an attack pool of 4 points. I'm going to use 3 of those points to kill this egg. When you kill an enemy, it goes into the dead enemy's designated area, which is to the right of the hatchery. It's a little cut off on the overhead view here, but that's where we're going to put that egg. I have 1 attack point left. I have nothing I can do with it. So I have 2 recruitment points. It just so happens that I have something that costs 2 in the HQ, and it's the Captain Dallas You Have Your Orders card. It gives us 2 recruitment points, which is better than a specialist. It also has an ability that is not triggered by a class symbol, and it is basically to look at the top 2 cards of the barracks, put one of them on the bottom, and put the other one back on top. This allows you to get better cards out into the HQ and remove poorer cards out of the way. So we're going to take this and we're going to put this in the scout's discard pile and replenish the HQ. And that's it for the scout's turn. There's nothing else that he can do. He discards his cards, and now he needs to draw 6, but he doesn't have a draw pile. So we need to rebuild his draw deck. It's important to note that you do not shuffle your discard pile and create a new draw deck until you are forced to draw a card and you do not have a card left in your draw deck to draw. So if you're supposed to draw to 6 and there are 4 cards left in your draw pile, you draw those 4 cards and then you shuffle your discard pile. You don't immediately shuffle your discard pile into your draw deck and then draw 6 cards. I'm going to cut this right here, and then we're going to pull 6 cards out here. our draw deck, and here's our scout's hand. He's pulled captain of the ship, which gives him some attack points, and he also pulled Do You Have Your Orders. That's a pretty good pull. Actually got 2 character cards right off the bat. And that's his hand. I'm going to set that down. Now we'll go to the Synthetic's turn again. Interestingly enough, we have this situation here where the ventilation shafts are empty, so we don't have to push these cards. The Hive card goes into the ventilation shafts first. Because there was not a card there to push, it doesn't push any other cards. These cards just stay where they are. I don't recall if I mentioned it, but once this is full and you have to place a card here, it's just like a queue. The cards get shoved, starting with the card on the leftmost side. It moves over. You'll notice though that when there's a card in the airlock and we need to move, where does the card go? Well, the card comes into the combat zone. And if it comes into the combat zone and it was still face down here, it must be revealed immediately in the combat zone. If there's a reveal effect on the card, that must be addressed immediately before you do anything else up here. So if there were 5 cards here in the complex, and you pull a card out the airlock and reveal it, and there's a reveal effect, you take care of that reveal effect while the airlock is empty. And there are 4 cards here, and you have not drawn a card from the Hive deck to push anything through. It's really important to do that because sometimes there are events or hazards that require you to pull cards off the Hive deck. So it's important to do those actions in that order. Sorry, for our synthetics here, we've got 3 attack, we've got 3 recruit, half and half. With our 3 attack we can scan. We have 2 rooms actually we can scan. We can scan the power station or the weapons locker for 3. I would suggest probably first we actually use recruitment points in case there's something there that causes us to lose our ability to use our recruitment points. So we've played these cards. These are our 2 pools, our attack pool and our recruitment pool. I have 3 recruitment points to spend. It just so happens there's a couple cards in the HQ that cost 3. Both of these are pretty good cards. They both provide 2 recruitment, but they provide different special abilities based on different classes. So there's Lambert's Motion Detector, which has a tech effect that if you were to play a tech card before this one, then you would get the ability to scan any room. And there's the word may, which means you don't have to do it. And then the other card here is the Ripley First Aid card. We saw this earlier. Basically, you can heal a strike from any player if you have previously played a card with the survival symbol. I think we're going to take the motion detector. Right, the motion detector goes into the synthetics discard pile. Again, we replenish the HQ. Now, we've used our recruitment points. We have our 3 attack points. Let's do something with them. Let's scan a room. I'm going to scan the power station. So let's find out what we have here. And it's an event. So we were just talking about this. There it is. There's your event card. When you draw an event, you need to check the current objective to determine the effect of the event. So in this case, it's rough landing. You and the next player each draw a strike. Unless stated otherwise, the event card immediately is taken out and is discarded. There is a section over here, a designated area called Discarded Hazards and Events, which I believe is cut off by the overhead view here. But that's where you place these. You'll also place completed objective cards. So, the synthetic needs to draw a strike, and then the scout needs to draw a strike. So, here we go. Let's find out what we got in here. So, the synthetic gets a contaminated wound. It's a red 1, which means it cannot be healed, as you can see here. So he suffers a wound. I'm going to stick the wound underneath him here. We'll try to keep track of the wounds. Normally I group the wounds underneath here, underneath the card, but as you can see in the video, there's the area underneath here is invisible to you. So we're just going to kind of keep it up here so it can be seen. Now the scout needs to receive a strike, so we draw for the scout. It's a contaminated gash. Again, it's another strike that can't be healed. This is really sad. Because of it, it's stuck on you for the rest of the game. So until the game ends, whether you win or lose, you're stuck with this strike card. So the scout suffers a wound as well. So the scout is now down from 10 health to 8, and the synthetic is now down to 11 health from 12. And that's it for the synthetic's turn. Discard the synthetic's cards. Draw 6. Again, there is nothing here to draw, so we need to shuffle the discards. Pseudo quasi riffle shuffle here. Little Hindu. We'll cut and draw 6 cards. We'll do the scout and the synthetic one more time, and then I'm going to bring this video to an end, and we'll continue on after that. So let's go ahead and start the scout's turn. First phase is the hide phase. Here's another situation where we've got a blank spot. The hive card needs to come in the ventilation shafts, but the ventilation shafts have a hive card, so the hive card has to slide down, but does not push this card out of the weapons locker. And then we bring this card in, face down. What does our scout have? Well, we've got captain of the ship. Unfortunately, we can't use the special ability because I don't have a card that I can play that has that class icon, which is the intel icon. We've got 3 recruitment points here. We've got 1 attack point plus these 2. That's 3 attack points there. But we also have the special card we bought earlier. It not only gives us 2 recruitment points, but we can also, at any time during our turn here, look at the top 2 cards of the barracks. So we're going to do that right now. So let's grab the top 2 cards and see what they are. So we have Captain of the Ship, which we've seen before. Actually, I just pulled that card. I just bought that card a little while ago. And then we have Quarantine Procedure. Very cheap, only costs 2. What it allows you to do is look at the top card of any player's deck. You may kill it or put it back. This also happens to be a card worth 1 attack, so you can use it as a regular attack card and also do this. Why would you want to kill a card? Well, this is one of the few mechanics in the game for thinning your deck. You want to be able to get rid of these junky cards you started with, these specialists that are only worth 1 recruitment point, or these grunts that are only worth 1 attack point. You'd like to get rid of those so that your hand is filled with more advanced cards, the character cards you've been purchasing. So Quarantine Procedure is actually really, really nice. The other interesting thing about Quarantine Procedure is that it has the intel symbol in the corner there. We definitely want to grab that one then, because that allows us to chain with the other card that we have here. That if we had both of these in our hand at the same time, then you would play this card first, and then you'd be able to activate this card's ability, which adds to attack. We definitely want the Quarantine Procedure at the top, I believe. So we're going to take, as good as this card is, there are plenty of other good cards, but I really like the Quarantine Procedure, especially early in the game. So we're going to leave it at the top, and we're going to bury the Captain of the Ship card to the bottom of the barracks there. So again, let's look through the cards that the scout has. Again, we had the 2 recruitment points here, the 2 attack. So we have 5 total recruitment points in our recruitment pool, and we have 3 attack in our pool. So with the 5 recruitment points, because we know there's a card worth 2 on the top, we can buy the first aid card and then immediately buy the 2-cost card right afterwards and fully spend our recruitment points. So let's do that. We're going to spend 3 to buy the first aid. Goes in the discard pile. We're going to reveal the card we know is there, the quarantine procedure. And we're going to use our remaining 2 recruitment points in our pool to buy this one. Also put it in the discard pile. And again, replenish the HQ. That's it for our recruitment points. We've used them up. We now have the 3 attack points. We can scan a room. We have 2 rooms to choose from. I say let's try the power station again. What do we have this time? It's another egg. So same as before. He doesn't move or strike. It's going to sit here until that event fires. So we hit that event card earlier. That would have caused this to be killed. We would go into the dead enemies pile and we would pull a facehugger from the hatchery and put it in front of the player who was responsible for revealing it. So we have nothing else to do. The scout is done. Discards and draws 6. He drew his roll card again. Whenever I'm looking through these, I'm looking for coordinate cards, and I'm hoping maybe to provide an example here soon of how coordinate works. But anyway, then we go to the synthetic. Again, high phase. We need to place a card here. We can't. We need to slide it down, but we can't slide it into the power station, so it needs to go to the weapons locker. So this slides down here. Then we take the card from the ventilation shafts and actually put it in the weapons locker. Kind of jumps over the power station there. And then we fill the ventilation shafts with the new face down card. You notice how quickly the complex is starting to fill. And yes, it can get out of control pretty quickly if you're not taking care of it. So we have one of our character cards we drew here. We have 3 attack. And we have 4 recruitment points. Again, I'm really scared of the eggs because they produce facehuggers. I'm going to use the 3 attack to kill this egg, so we're going to get rid of this guy right now. He goes over in the dead enemies pile. That takes care of our our attack point pool. We still have the 4. The motion detector card here from Lambert does have the special ability to scan any room. However, we do not have a card to play prior to this one that has the tech class symbol, so we can't take advantage of this ability. But we can still use the recruitment points associated with this card. So we have 4. We have a card here called Repair the Ship, which is an interesting one. Unfortunately, we can't take advantage of it right now. It would be nice if we could. It says that when you draw a new hand at the end of your turn, if the power station is clear, then you draw an extra card. Unfortunately, we can't do that because it's going to be in the discard pile, so that's sad. But we're going to spend our 4 recruitment points on this. It's a very nice card. It also has 2 attack. It also has the tech symbol, which will be useful when chained with Lambert's motion detector. It allows us to scan a room for free. So we've used the synthetics recruitment points. We've used all of the attack points in the pool. There's nothing left to do but discard and draw 6. Alright, here's the coordinate card. So let's go ahead and start I'm going to put the coordinate card at the top of the hand here. We're going to reference that again here very shortly. Let's go ahead and start the scout's turn. Again, Drawing from the hive, we slide this down, put the hive card here. The scout, there's his draw a card, so we're going to draw a card from our draw deck. 2 recruitment. We also have that free scan, don't want to forget about that. So he has 4 recruitment points and 2 attack. 2 attack he can use to scan this room if he wants to. Additionally, his buddy, the synthetic, has this card. This is the one, this is that coordinate card. It provides 2 attack points. Here's how coordinate works. Another player, in this case it's synthetic, this is on the scout's turn. The synthetic can play this card, and the scout uses it as though the scout has this card in his hand. He doesn't, but it's treated as having a copy of it. So if the synthetic is willing to do so, and when you're playing solitaire, you can provide this card. So in this case, I can add 2 attack to what the scout has for his pool. And we also get the symbol. So in this case, he's got the survival symbol and the Weyland-Yutani crew symbol. So if the scout had a card out here that had a special ability that required the survival class symbol, then it would be active because of this. Now, when the player accepts the coordinate card, the player who is providing the coordinate card gets to draw another card to replace it. On each turn, if we had more than 2 players, this would make more sense. It's up to a 5-player game. If, say, there were 4 players, each other player can provide 1 coordinate card only on that first player's turn. So that first player could gain up to 3 coordinate cards as a result of that action. So the synthetic cannot provide another coordinate card besides this one. So this copy technically goes into the synthetic's discard pile, but I'm going to lay it right here for now because I just want to remember that we have it. So instead of having 2 to attack, we have 4. But I'm going to spend my recruitment points first. I've got 4. It looks like there's another one. This is the same card, the find it and kill it card with coordinate, which means the scout could then provide this card to the synthetic. They can go back and forth. We have the motion detector over here. I'm trying to remember, I believe the scout has purchased one of those already. Don't have too much of a choice. I can always draw a sergeant. I haven't done that yet. I think let's go ahead and do that just for the sake of demonstrating it. So there's 10 sergeant cards. When they're gone, that's it. But they cost 3, so we're going to spend 3 of our 4, which means we're going to lose that last one. So I drew the sergeant card that I'm purchasing. It has the coordinate right here, and what he's coordinating in this case is 2 recruitment points. So he can provide 2 recruitment points to another player on that player's turn. And the one that I drew happens to have the intel symbol in the upper left corner there. So it can be used to activate another card that requires the intel class symbol to activate its ability. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to buy that. Now, and I'm sorry, the purchasing of the card means that the card actually goes in the discard pile. I need to stay honest with that. So we have 4 attack points here, and the scout can scan a room for free. So we have an opportunity to do some stuff here. I would suggest we try to scan a room first for free, and if it's something that we can kill with our 4 attack points, then we'll do it. If we can't, then we can use the remaining attack points to do something else, to scan another room. So we're going to scan the ventilation shafts for free and see what's here. And it's an event. We have to do this again. So again, with objective 1, the scout will first draw a strike, and then the synthetic will draw a strike. So the event card goes over here in the discarded hazards and events designated area of the mat. So we're going to draw our strike for the scout, And it's a deep gash. Now at least this one can be healed. Get off the glare there. This one can be healed, it's 2 damage. So now the scout has suffered 4 damage. It's down to 6 health. This is not looking good for the scout. It would be nice if the scout could be healed somehow. Now, the synthetic also needs a strike. And it's a close call. We love to see this one. This is great. So basically it says no damage, discard this card, which is great. There's a discarded strikes designated area. That's where you place it. Whenever you heal a player of a strike, that's where they go as well. So I still have my 4 attack. I'm going to use 3 to scan. So we're going to scan the power station. And it's part of the SOS. So here's where we start filling in the gaps in the information that we had. We didn't really know what we were supposed to do. All the objective says is find both parts of the SOS. Well, this says part of the SOS. And if you look at it, it has a reveal effect. Move this to operations, which we will do. Once it's in operations, and you found both parts of the SOS, you discard them and complete the objective. They get discarded in the discarded hazards and events designated area. So operations, like I said before, operations is used as a designated area contextual to whatever the objective is or the scenario that's being played. In this case, operations is where these parts of the SOS go. So there's another part of the SOS in the Objective 1 Hive deck, which we haven't drawn through yet. Let's finish this out. Now we can have the synthetic discard this card. The synthetic already drew a replacement card for that. The scout's going to discard all his cards and draw up to 6, and he can only draw 2. So now he must shuffle his discard pile to regenerate his draw deck. Just riffling. Quasi-riffling. Little Hindu. And a bit of a cut here. And then we're going to take the 4 more out. And we have our hand of 6 again. Oh, we pulled all of the weak cards, our weak starting cards. That's unfortunate for the scout. So we're going to play the synthetic here really quick. Again, bring a card out. Ventilation Chefs, it's first phase. Then we get to our action phase. We pulled the synthetics roll card, which allows us to draw a card. Unfortunately, he drew a grunt. So we have 2 attack points and 4 recruitment points in our pool. We have no character cards that we can chain off of the versatile roll card here. So with our 2 attack points, we do have a room we can scan, the Med Lab, which only takes 2 attack points. And then we have our 4 recruit. I would suggest we spend our 4 recruit first. We can buy another Find It and Kill It for 4. We can buy another motion detector for 3. I think we should probably buy another one of these motion detectors. So we'll do that. That costs 3. And then we take another card and place it into the HQ. And here's another one of these deck thinning cards. So we've used 3 of our 4 recruit points. The 4th point can't be used on anything. We have our 2 attack points. Let's go ahead and scan the Med Lab. Oh wow, we're hitting all these events. Now of course, there are event cards that are part of the Objective Hive decks, but then there are also event cards that were part of the drone deck. So we might be hitting a lot of events simply because we pulled them out of the drone deck as well. So again, we go through the horrific event where we must draw strikes. So the synthetic starts by drawing a strike for himself. And he drew Somebody Help. Alright, so I mentioned this in the last video. This is a card that causes 4 damage. Looks pretty horrible, doesn't it? The text here says that when you draw this, any other player with a survival icon can cancel this damage. So we can only hope that the medic has it, or the scout has it. Boy, I keep saying medic, you'd think that I actually wanted to play the medic. I have some subconscious desire to play the medic. So as we can see, the scout can't save the synthetic here. The synthetic is going to have to take this horrible amount of damage. This causes him 4 additional damage. Now he has 5 damage, he's down to 7 health. The nice thing about healing strikes, though, when the opportunity comes to heal strikes, is that you heal by strike card. So I can heal this 4 damage. So whether it's a 1 or a 4, it doesn't matter. It's a card that you remove. So he can immediately go back to 11 health. So that was unfortunate, but nevertheless, that ends the synthetic's turn. Put this over here. Draw 1. And then we need to, again, draw 5 more to complete his hand. And play continues basically as it has here so far. Synthetic drew a coordinate card, that's great. We're going to want to use that for the scout. So it's like a good time to pause. I will just take a moment here and reflect on how well or how poorly I've done so far, and we'll pick this up again in the next video.